Hello there. Over the last couple of weeks, my weekly review videos haven't really done as well, and I don't know why, but it's made me very, very sad, to the point where I've literally crapped my diaper several times. So please, if you see this, just take a moment to watch the video. It'll make your day better, and it'll also make me feel a lot better too. The video will begin right after this short break. Before I begin, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Factor. Living an active and healthy lifestyle isn't always easy and can feel overwhelming, but Factor gives you the flexibility to stay active without succumbing to a quick cheat meal when short on time. With an expanded menu, Factor is making accomplishing your wellness goals even more exciting. You can enjoy more nutritious and balanced meal options tailored to a wider range of health goals so you can reach them with ease. Factor is also adding more flavors to the menu so you can enjoy nutritious meals without compromising on flavor. Factor makes portion control easy with meals ranging between 350 to 550 calories per serving, and their clean and wholesome meals make weight loss stress-free. I've been sponsoring Factor now for several years, and I can tell you with 100% sincerity, these guys are the real deal. If you have not yet joined Factor or have given Factor a try, you are missing out big time. So what are you waiting for? Right now, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code BarryFB50 to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code BarryFB50 at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. Patriots versus Jets. The Jets' opening drive actually looked like an NFL team by scoring a touchdown, and it spooked them so badly they immediately went back to being dog shit. Drake May looked a lot like Tom Brady in this game, meaning he stood in clean pockets and threw to wide open receivers, but still, once again, steady and reliable. This is a great play to get down the field. TreVeyon Henderson had a big night, 3 touchdowns, 2 running, 1 receiving, and the Jets surprisingly would answer again after Justin Fields threw a touchdown to John Mechie, but then Fields went back to reality by fumbling a snap down 10, which set up another Patriots field goal, and that was really the end of this one. The Jets continue to be the Jets. The Patriots continue to beat up on a Special Olympics caliber schedule. If I soundboard, it's because I am. Dolphins versus Commanders. You knew immediately this game was going to be dog shit when it was a overseas game, because they always are. If the goal is to attract more international fans, then sending shitty teams like this isn't the way. There was no touchdowns scored until the second half when Marcus Brady threw a touchdown to Deebo Samuel, who became the fattest person to ever record a touchdown to give Washington a lead. And then here's Tua on the goal line throwing an incomplete pass after it's deflected by Bobby Wagner. That single play is good enough to get Bobby Wagner another undeserved All-Pro appearance. Fast forward to the fourth quarter, the Dolphins would tie the game with a short touchdown run to make it 13-13, and Washington didn't have a problem moving the ball, but they got to the 1-yard line and had 2 chances to punch it in or even kick a field goal if they wanted, and they were not able to do so. But then the Dolphins said, anything you can do, I can do better, silly pants, and they literally got stuffed themselves on multiple opportunities, giving Washington a great chance to win the game with a 56-yard field goal, but somebody farted and it blew the ball all the way to the left. And then on the first play of overtime, Mark Mariota threw an interception to Jack Jones. Tua had a historically impressive game-winning drive, which ended with a field goal to give the Dolphins a 16-13 win. Steelers versus Bengals. The scoring started off with an Aaron Rodgers screen pass to Kenneth Gainwell, which again is literally the greatest possible last name for an offensive football player. But 75-year-old Joe Flacco responded right back with a touchdown to T. Higgins to make it 7-6. The rest of the first half was mostly boring, except for this play where Darnell Washington, he just gave them the business. My goodness, fucking ran over everybody. That's a play that's going to be on highlight reels forever. The big story, though, in the second half of this game, besides a Kyle Duggar pick 6, was that Aaron Rodgers did not play. I guess he broke his non-throwing hand wrist, so Mason Rudolph came in and showed that he can also throw a screen pass touchdown to Kenneth Gainwell. And then in typical Steelers voodoo fashion, they ended up scoring 34 points despite really not doing much impressively offensively, with another fumble 6 touchdown. Jamar Chase got caught on video spitting on Jalen Ramsey, so he'll be suspended for a game. game, but seriously, the Bengals are 3-7. Who gives a shit? Their season's over. As for Pittsburgh, the march towards 9-8 continues unabashed. Bills versus Bucks. The bad Josh Allen came out to play early on with this terrible interception, but it only resulted in a field goal. And then Josh Allen, who ended up scoring 6 touchdowns on the day, spoiler, kept doing a tush push, which I'm sure everyone will be upset about. I'll just say one thing. Every single time Josh Allen does a tush push, he goes to the left. I'm just saying it right now. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that. But the Buccaneers came right back. God, look at how hardworking and aggressive this touchdown run by Baker is. Good Lord. Josh Allen then showed off what he's capable of with this incredible touchdown pass, but the lead was short-lived. No offense to Aaron Hernandez. As the Buccaneers broke off a long-ass touchdown run to take the lead back, then Allen decided to throw another interception like a stupid poopy head. What are you doing, Josh? But it ended up not mattering because he would make up in the stat column with this ridiculous touchdown pass. Good Lord, what an unbelievable throw. Only Josh Allen could make that pass to put the Bills up at halftime. But the Buccaneers would fight back with another touchdown run, but they could not capitalize on expanding the lead as Baker Mayfield threw a terrible interception in his own territory. Then Josh Allen decided to throw to a wide open James Cook. Too many Cooks. Remember that YouTube short? No? Nobody? All right. But still, the Bucks fought back once again with another touchdown. Look at how fast this guy is. Holy shit. To go up by 1 with 13 and a half minutes left. But in this game, defense was optional, and Allen led the team down by running for a couple more touchdowns to give the Bills a 12-point lead, and any chance the Buccaneers had at rallying died when Baker Mayfield got strip sacked. His balls were loose, just like they were in the parking lot of a cheesecake factory. That's an old joke, but I decided to make it anyway. So anyway, the Bills are now 7-3. They're in prime position to lose in the playoffs for the 7th straight year. Texans versus Titans. This game was unexpectedly a complete snore fest most of the way, with only a couple field goals as the only scoring for the first 2.5 quarters before the Texans and their draft-necked quarterback Davis Mills got on the board with a touchdown pass to make it 7-6. By Cam Ward standards, he actually had a pretty good game against a very good Texans defense, although he did fumble away the key drive in the 4th quarter. But he would make up for it with an impressive deep ball, which shows some of the potential that everybody thought we were going to see more of this year, before throwing a game-tying touchdown pass with 1:30 left to tie the game at 13-13. But Davis Mills unironically threw an amazing pass on 3rd and 16, which helped set up the game-winning field goal for the Texans, who are now 5-5 and are on a roll without CJ Stroud. Is there a quarterback controversy in Houston? Find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Packers versus the Giants. The Giants were starting famous Uber passenger Jameis Winston at quarterback this week, and the game was surprisingly competitive. The first touchdown pass went to not Jordan Love, not Jameis Winston, but Malik Willis. Remember him? He went to college at Liberty, which prohibits premarital sex. Anyway, Jordan Love came back in the game. He went to Utah State, which does allow premarital sex, unfortunately. And the Packers ended up going up on this impressive touchdown run. But the Giants went right back up on another short touchdown run. For some reason, the NFL clips don't include the Packers touchdown to go up 19-13, but they do show this. And Jameis Winston, he can't escape the long arms of Micah Parsons like he could escape those sexual assault allegations at Florida State. I haven't forgotten. But anyway, in typical Giants fashion, they actually had a go-ahead drive with Winston scoring the touchdown to put them up by 1, and then Jordan Love does what he usually does, which is just throw up a fucking YOLO ball, and it got complete. And then he had a legitimately impressive touchdown pass to Christian Watson and a 2-point conversion to give the Packers a 7-point lead. Gee, I wonder if Jameis Winston will throw a terrible boneheaded interception. Oh, wow, that's exactly what he did. And then on the final play of the game, he got strip sacked by fellow freak and gooner, the Jags versus the Chargers. Probably the most surprising outcome of the weekend. The game was relatively close in the first half until it wasn't. You had Trevor Lawrence playing halfback out of wildcat formations, which actually works somehow, like it's 2008. And then you had Trevor Lawrence just running right up the middle, completely untouched somehow. Tom Brady would literally have 1 fewer ring if the Seahawks just did this. It's not that hard. Meanwhile, not his fault, man. Justin Herbert had one of the worst games of his career, but like I just said, it's not his fault because his 2 tackles are out and he doesn't have all pros around him at every position. It's not his fault. Stop making fun of him. Oh my God. Anyway, so the Jaguars end up winning 35-6. And here's a quick little Trey Lance update. He's now on the Chargers, the former, what was he, the 3rd overall pick? I mean, goddamn, one of the biggest draft busts in history. The real question is, which one of these teams will fall off and allow the Chiefs into the playoffs come January? Bears versus Vikings. Let's give it up for JJ McCarthy. Everybody, look at JJ McCarthy. My God. I mean, you look at the versatility here. JJ can throw interceptions interceptions on intermediate routes and deep routes. That's why he was a high first-round pick. Yet, despite J.J. McCarthy's unbelievably shitty performance, the Bears could not capitalize, and the Vikings somehow had a chance to take the lead and win the game in the fourth quarter, and that's what McCarthy did. In typical Kenny Pickett fashion, he had one impressive drive. He saved it for the final minute, but this is 2025. Kickers can make kicks from 90 yards with their dicks, and a lot of the suspense got taken out of the ending when the Bears returned it to the Vikings side of the field, and then they settled for the game-winning 48-yard field goal attempt, which I thought was going to miss based on the fact that it was leaning to the left. Sometimes your balls, they lean to the left a little bit. It's completely natural. It's normal for one of your balls to dangle a little bit lower, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. At least that's what my doctors told me. Either way, the Bears win and the Vikings continue to look like shit. I mean, look at how distraught Kevin O'Connell is. He's like, my God, I'm stuck with this fucking asshole quarterback. Panthers versus Falcons. What looked to be a forgettable game actually turned out to be pretty exciting, and Bryce Young actually looked like an NFL quarterback, although to be fair, we are talking about the Atlanta Falcons here, so it does have a little bit of an asterisk. Either way, the Falcons looked to be in control when they went up 21-7. Oh wow, they're gonna blow a huge lead. That's something I haven't seen before. A legitimately beautiful throw by Bryce Young to Xavier Legette. Michael Penix, who, as I mentioned before, had a gigantic history of injuries at Indiana and Washington, is now hurt once again, so they have to rely on their $90 million backup quarterback, Kirk Cousins, to come in, and they couldn't do shit. The game hit a bit of a lull as both of the teams exchanged punts. I mean, who doesn't love watching punts? Am I right, folks? It's like watching C-SPAN. I mean, 4th and 1, you literally fall down. This is worse than Russell Wilson throwing an interception to lose the Super Bowl at the 1-yard line. I'm sorry, it is. Or maybe not. The Falcons went up by 5, and of course, their defense immediately gave up a long-ass touchdown drive and a 2-point conversion. When the Falcons need to stop 2-point conversions, they absolutely fail. But they did get into field goal range, which again, nowadays, field goal range is basically, I don't know, you're basically in field goal range the moment you take a touchback in today's NFL. So they sent the game into overtime, and Kirk Cousins had his balls hanging low, as you can see here, and then Bryce Young led them down the field, or I should say, he yacked them down the field, which set up the game-winning field goal to win 30-27. The Falcons drafted a quarterback high in the first round last year as a way to not be in quarterback hell. But guess what? A year and a half later, with Penix hurt and Kirk Cousins as their starter again, they're in quarterback hell. Rams versus Seahawks. 2 7-2 teams with the 2 top MVP candidates ended up being a bit of a disappointment, at least from the quarterback perspective. Sam Darnold showed everybody why he was drafted by the Jets by throwing not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 interceptions. However, despite Sam Darnold's shittiness, and believe me, there was a lot of it, Stafford had probably his worst game of the season as well, and the Rams were pretty sloppy and could not pull away, seemingly no matter how bad Darnold was playing. They did take a 9-point lead early on Stafford's second touchdown, but the Seahawks cut it to 2, and then after forcing a punt, by the grace of God, Darnold got them in position to win the game with a 61-yard game-winning field goal attempt, and it just barely missed. Football is a game of inches. I mean, my goodness, if this was just 1 centimeter to the right, this would have been good, but it sucks so bad. I feel so bad for Seattle fans. You were so close. Ravens versus Browns. The first touchdown of this game was on a defensive play, which really lets you know how the quarterback play was in this one. The Browns took an early double-digit lead, and literally nobody had any doubts that the Ravens would eventually come back, even though Lamar Jackson played like crap. In the same stadium where he once left the game to take a shit. I haven't forgotten. Speaking of shits, Myles Garrett took a gigantic dump all over the Ravens offensive line. He had 4 sacks in this game. He really is a historically dominant player, but the most memorable storyline is that we finally had our first look at Shedeur Sanders in the NFL. Let's see how Shedeur did. Well, he went 4 for 16 and he threw a terrible interception, so his completion percentage was bad, and despite his defense keeping him in the game with many opportunities, he took a lot of sacks. Sanders' final passer rating was a Karl Malone-esque 13.5, but the play of the game was very easily this 4th and 1 fake tush-push fumble-rooski fake-out that the Ravens did with Mark Andrews to score the game-winning touchdown. Honestly, if I was the Ravens, I might have saved this for a later season game. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but I mean, I would have saved this for a bigger moment. Still pretty cool. And Shedeur actually made a good throw that was dropped or batted out of the receiver's hands in the end zone before throwing an incomplete pass, which ended the game 23-16. The way that my brain works is I remember remember the final score of every Super Bowl, and this was the final score of Super Bowl 34, the famous tackle at the 1-yard line between the Rams and the Titans in 1999. Did I mention that I'm still a virgin? San Francisco versus Arizona. The Fighting John McCains gave up almost an opening touchdown to Sky Moore. Sky Moore just loves playing in this stadium, doesn't he? As an Eagles fan, I'm having a bad moment right now. But you know what cheers me up? Watching Christian McCaffrey and Greg Kittle score so many touchdowns. They're all such hardworking guys. Meanwhile, Jacoby Brissett ended this game with 47 completions. That's literally 3 seasons worth for Justin Fields. But either way, it was largely due to the game script, as the Cardinals were down huge for most of the day because the 49ers are a much better team than they are. Wow, that's surprising. Did I mention this was also the return of Brock Purdy? For a moment there, you can tell that Brock Purdy, he was probably scared a little shitless that Mac Jones was going to take his job, but it seems like everything is back to normal now. I mean, every time Christian McCaffrey scores a touchdown, an angel gets its wings. And the 49ers won this one pretty handily. No offense to Luke Skywalker on Bespin. Broncos versus Chiefs, the most memorable game of the week. Fast forward to the second half, Mahomes throws another terrible red zone interception, whereas Bo Nix did the typical Bo Nix routine where he didn't really do a lot except for a couple drives in the fourth, some clutch time randomness. The Broncos took a 13-6 lead, but Mahomes finally responded to help the Chiefs tie the game going into the fourth quarter, and then eventually taking the lead on a touchdown pass to Taylor Swift's favorite dick appointment, Travis Kelce. But they missed the extra point. Despite this, though, the Chiefs had multiple drives with a chance to win the game, but they went 3 and out both times, and unlike Tom Brady, Mahomes' defense was unable to stop the other team from scoring. Giving up this play on 3rd and 15 was really bad, and it helped set up the chip shot game-winning field goal for Denver, who is now 9-2. The Chiefs are now 5-5, and there's it's a little bit of panic time now for the Chiefs. They might miss the playoffs. What does this mean for Mahomes' GOAT legacy? You know, we're going to hear about all this shit now. I still think the Chiefs will find a way into the postseason, but this is obviously not the same juggernaut that we have seen for the last better part of the decade. We're in the Philadelphia Eagles era now, motherfuckers. Speaking of the Eagles versus Lions. Jared Goff turned into Jared Goof. The one thing about Goff is that he's normally very good, but when he plays bad, he plays bad. And on this night in particular, the Lions went 0 for 5 on 4th down. That was really the game because the Eagles offense didn't do much again. And outside of a drive where Jameson Williams scored a touchdown and then decided to grope and molest the field goal post, which drew a penalty, which resulted in a super long extra point, which ended with a missed extra point, which kept the score tied at 6-6. The Eagles defense was amazing. Here's Jalen Hurts scoring a tush push. I expect everybody to have 5,000 word essays on why this is illegal and immoral. Really though, unironically, this was one of the weirdest games I've ever watched from start to finish. There was no rhythm to it. There was no real pace to it. It seemed like a random glob of plays and both teams just trying random shit for 60 minutes, and then the game was over. And fortunately for me, the Eagles ended up winning. But the biggest problem with the Eagles this year, people talk about A.J. Brown, the receivers, Jalen Hurts sucks, whatever, all that shit. The biggest reason the Eagles offense is inconsistent this year is because they cannot run block. That's the reason, okay? I'm just saying that right now as somebody who's seen every play for the Eagles this year. Their run blocking sucks. If they ever get that fixed, we're gonna coast to another Super Bowl. But even if we don't get it fixed, we're still probably gonna win the Super Bowl anyway. So suck my dick, haters. Cowboys versus Raiders. Dak Prescott silenced all the stupid haters who said he can't win big games by beating the 2-7 Las Vegas Raiders. Congrats, I guess. Don't laugh at this next part, but Geno Smith has been committing genocide all year long. Get it? Anyway, this was never close or competitive. Dak did a great job of padding his numbers in a low leverage situation, as he is wont to do. The Raiders are terrible, which we already know. The Cowboys are on pace to be mediocre, which they've been ever since Bill Clinton's second term as president. And that is all she wrote, folks. Before I go, a fan reached out to me and talked about how he lost his beloved dog, Zoe, recently, and he gave me this photo to remember her by, and he asked if I would put it in the video, and I said, sure. Rest in peace, Zoe. I hope you're at the Rainbow Bridge, and I'm sure that you were a very good dog. Take care, everybody.